This jump alright, some people call me. Got a little article here, and this one's kinda interesting. Usually I skip around, but I'm gonna read quite a bit of this one, and it feels to me like now that the sequel trilogy's coming to a close, we're getting all these things confirmed that we already felt before, and it's like we're kind of getting regurgitated news of stuff we already knew, but it's new because we're getting things confirmed. And this one, we get it confirmed that George Lucas really didn't like The Force Awakens, and, well, he didn't like The Last Jedi either. So, yeah, I'm taking a guess on that, but a very, very safe, educated guess. Here we go. Bob Iger admits George Lucas felt betrayed with Disney's version of Star Wars. And I'm just wondering, why exactly is Bob Iger releasing this information? I'm not exactly sure. Was he supposed to? Is this what CEOs do? Anyway, you guys can maybe help me on that. I don't know everything, but I'm just saying, shouldn't he keep this to himself? But I'm glad he shared. At some point in the process, George told me that he had completed outlines for 3 new movies. He agreed to send us 3 copies of the outlines. One for me, one for Alan Braverman, and one for Alan Horn, who'd just been hired to run our studio. Alan Horn and I read George's outlines and decided we needed to buy them, though we made it clear in the purchase agreement that we would not be contractually obligated to adhere to the plot lines he laid out, so why did you buy him then? He knew that I was going to stand firm on the question of creative control, but it wasn't an easy thing for him to accept. But, okay, there is an argument out there that I can't help but agree with, that if George Lucas didn't sell the Star Wars franchise, we wouldn't be in this position in the first place. It's $4 billion, so, I mean, realistically, would you really turn down that money? But then again, what the hell would you do at $4 billion when I think George was already worth about $1 billion? How much money does one person need? Alright, I guess it's more power in the world, but geez, I promised that we would be open to his ideas. Right. This was not a hard promise to make. Of course, we would be open to Lucas's ideas, but like the outlines, we would be under no obligation, and we never forgot we had Kathleen Kennedy, who had very, very different agenda-based ideas that ended up being horrible. Whoop, speak of the devil. Early on, Kathy brought JJ and Michael Anner up to Northern California to meet with George at his ranch and talk about their ideas for the film. George immediately got upset as they began to describe the plot, and it dawned on him that we weren't using one of the stories he submitted during the negotiations. So George got disappointed pretty quick. George immediately got upset as he began to describe the plot, and it dawned on him, wait, you guys said that, you're repeating, okay, sorry, keep going. The truth was that Kathy, JJ, Alan, and I had discussed the direction in which the saga should go, and it was the wrong one, and we all agreed that it wasn't what George had outlined. George knew we weren't contractually bound to anything, but he thought that our buying the story treatments was a tact promise that we'd follow them, and he was disappointed that his story was being discarded. That was definitely his fault there. I mean, once somebody in the position of Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy have no legal obligations, you're going to trust them? Well, I guess he knew Kathleen Kennedy for a long time. We found out how trustable she was. Bob Iger? I don't know. CEO of Disney? Do you trust him? I don't. So here, I somewhat agree with Bob Iger. I mean, he doesn't actually tell George any kind of verbal promise even that he will follow the consultation. I'd been so careful since our first conversation not to mislead him in any way, and I didn't think I had now, but I could have handled it better. I should have prepared him for the meeting with JJ and Michael and told him about our conversations, that we felt it was better to go in another direction. I could have talked through this with him and possibly avoided angering him by not surprising him. And yeah, if you look at the wording for what was said legally, Iger did not have an obligation to follow it, so he's kind of right there. I hate to say it, but in this particular case, yeah, he has like a point. Now, in the first meeting with him about the future of Star Wars, George felt betrayed, and while this whole process would never have been easy on him, we'd gotten off to an unnecessarily rocky start, just like the sequel trilogy. Well, kind of. A lot of people actually like The Force Awakens. I never did. And now it gets worse and worse actually in my head, because I was actually very lenient in The Force Awakens. I mean, the one thing that'll never be bad about The Force Awakens is it did leave some good questions open for some great theory crafting for like 2 years. But that doesn't actually have to do so much with the actual movie and how it was. Kind of, if you get my drift. So that'll always be good about The Force Awakens, but as far as the actual events that happened and how they played out, it's kind of getting worse and worse in my mind. And I know a lot of you guys, including my buddy Road Rants, likes The Force Awakens, but it's kind of getting worse and worse with time, and I don't think Georgie Boy liked it. Well, we know. No, he didn't like it. Just prior to the global release, Kathy screened The Force Awakens for George. He didn't hide his disappointment. There's nothing new, he said. In each of the films in the original trilogy, it was important to him to present new worlds, new stories, new characters, and new technologies. In this one, he said, there weren't enough visual or technical leaps forward. And, you know, I guess the only kind of new thing we had was BB-8. Kind of cool, roly-poly little droid thing. Okay. Kylo's lightsaber was new, but it was actually an old design, right? But okay, it was new. So, you know, yeah, when you think of it like that, well, Starkiller Base was kind of, but not really new, because that was just like a super Death Star. So everything was like a super version of Star Wars, super lazy. And that's not even what I don't like about The Force Awakens. I'm giving The Force Awakens a pass on the kind of copied storyline, because I don't think it's the worst thing to pass down a tale from generation to generation and have the story a little similar maybe, but it's other things about The Force Awakens I really didn't like. But that's not what this video is about. You guys, tell me what you think of that down below. I'm doing shoutouts, special thanks, things like that. Click that subscribe button, smash it, whatever you gotta do to it. Do it. I mess up the end of videos like every goddamn video, and yeah, see you next time.